Krayt Dragons, Tusken Raiders, a Star Wars novel retcon, and the debut of Boba Fett. That all went down in the first episode of Season 2 titled Chapter 9, The Marshal of the Mandalorian. And in this new series here on the channel, Mando Recap, we're going to be looking back at every new episode, seeing what it can mean for the future of the show and other stories behind what you saw go down. Now, in this particular episode, we see the Mandalorian going on his mission of returning the child to his original species. In order to do so, he needs to reconnect with his people. He receives a tip that another Mandalorian is somewhere on Tatooine, and it leads him to the place of Mos Pelgo, an old mining town that had been basically almost wiped out following the fall of the Empire. However, an unlikely hero by the name of Cobb Vanth, who dons the armor of a fellow Mandalorian, that being Boba Fett as we find out, is in a sense protecting this village from all kind of threats and dangers. Now, Mandalorian absolutely cannot let a non-Mandalorian wear this armor, so in order to get it back, he agrees to kill the Krayt dragon that is threatening the lives of everybody in Mos Pelgo. But he needs the help of other people as well. Those other people came in the form of Tusken Raiders. And unifying these two groups of people, they do manage to kill the Krayt dragon, and Mando walks off with Boba Fett's armor. Not all the while though, we see that Boba Fett is in the distance watching the Mandalorian ride off with his armor. So that was a huge return for the show. We got the debut of Boba Fett in the very first episode, so that is something great. But we're going to be taking a look first at the character of Cobb Vanth. As I mentioned, a Star Wars novel was retconned in this story. I'm sad to say it. It's very similar to what happened with the Ahsoka novel in Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7. We had the events of a novel change ever so slightly to better fit with the story of the show. Now, Cobb Vanth, if you've seen him before, if that name sounds familiar, you probably have read the Star Wars Aftermath trilogy. He appears for the first time within the pages of those novels. Now, he isn't critical to the story of the Aftermath novel. If you've read them, you know there are also interludes that take you to other planets. You might see characters you're familiar with, you might see new characters. Well, Cobb Vanth was one of those new characters. In those recaps, you see him first coming to acquisition of Boba Fett's armor, and it is a very different story than what he told. In the novels, instead of being rescued by Jawas, he actually kills someone else to acquire the armor of Boba Fett because someone else was there to buy it. Cobb Vanth wanted it, and he wasn't afraid to do what he needed to get it. Also, another thing that is kind of thrown out of the window is this very interesting story that comes up in Aftermath like that, which is the second book in that trilogy. In that trilogy, you see him go to Jabba's Beastmaster, who is the guy that you basically saw crying when the Rancor died in Return of the Jedi. He goes up to him and offers to come back with him to his Freetown, where he has a hut. Not just any hut, but a hut that he plans to raise as a child, and he plans to raise and be a figurehead on Tatooine. So it seems as though they have really changed the perspective of Cobb Vanth. As we see in the show, he's more of a desperado hero kind of figure, doing what he can to protect the village and protect this little mining town of Mos Pelgo. But it got me wondering, what if he's lying? What if he told the Mando all this stuff, trying to paint himself as this heroic figure, but in hindsight, he really is doing everything you see in the Aftermath novel? It's a thought to have. I'm kind of bummed out if it's not the case, because again, this happened with the Ahsoka novel and then Clone Wars Season 7, how they kind of retconned what happened in there. But it is also understandable because sometimes the novels don't play up big moments like this, especially if it's a prelude or an interlude to the main story. However, in this case with Cobb Vanth, I really think what he did could have worked perfectly if they left it. But also, you do want to switch it up because some people might have read it and might know what's going to happen. So I want to know from all of you guys, if you have read the Aftermath books and know of Cobb Vanth's original debut, what do you think of him in screen as compared to pages? I would love to know that. And moving on here, we're going to be talking about Boba Fett. As we all know, there's been rumors, hints about Boba Fett's survival, even dating back to the Aftermath books themselves. That was way back, I believe, in 2015, maybe 16. So the rumors of him being alive in canon have been going for a very long time, and the Mandalorian only reinforced those back in season 1. I don't remember the exact episode, but it was the episode where he went to Tatooine the first time. I believe it was chapter 6, maybe 5. But these rumors about him being here have swirled and swirled, and now they're confirmed. Boba Fett is alive on Tatooine. But the question is, why is he still on Tatooine? What is he doing here? Is he a rogue? Is he planning on leaving? What will his role be? Well, I can tell you why I think he's still on Tatooine. I don't think it's just because his armor is still there. I think he's basically trapped there. There is no way that he still has possession of the Slave One in my mind. He was in the Sarlacc pit for God knows how long. His Slave One was just sitting in Jabba's palace. And as we saw in the Aftermath books, Jabba's palace was raided after the fall of the Empire. After his death, really. It was raided, people took what they wanted and left. You mean to tell me if there was a Mandalorian ship just sitting in the hangar, no one lays claim to it. Everyone saw Boba Fett fall into that Sarlacc pit. So if they know that's his ship, they're like, he's dead in the Sarlacc, disintegrating for the next 1,000 years. I'm taking this ship. So Boba Fett is left with no Slave One, in my opinion. Don't expect to see that ship if you ask me. But then again, he has no armor, so that's also a reason he's probably still on Tatooine. But he still has weapons. As you saw on his back, he's still armed to a T. So I was also wondering, where did he get those guns? But there is a lot going on here. So it seems like Mandalorian's adventures on Tatooine have not wrapped up. We still have to figure out what Boba Fett is going to do. And the other interesting thing is you see that Mandalorian took the armor off the Cobb Vanth because he's not Mandalorian. In a very technical sense, neither is Boba Fett. Boba Fett is a clone. He does not lay claim to Mandalorian birthrights. So it's going to be interesting in seeing if Boba Fett does get his armor back, because he'll probably have to fight for it. So we might see Boba Fett versus Din Djarin on the next episode of The Mandalorian, but you never know. So there is my quick recap. I recorded this literally minutes after watching chapter 9. I want to get it out as soon as possible. This is like an initial reaction sort of deal, also mixed with a recap and prediction of what's going to happen next. But I would love to hear your guys' opinions. What did you think about chapter 9, the Marshal? Tell me what you think is going to happen in chapter 10 in the comment sections below, and I'll be back next week right after that episode debuts. So until the next time, may the force of others be with you.